proud to say that we've almost reached our target, and I don't remember the numbers now. Mr. Rabbani would have the numbers. The fertilities or the survival rate of newborns, of infants, has really gone up because of the intervention that we've been doing. Professor Jamal talked about the NICH. We've tried to improve the NICH, and we have had problems with the federal government, but with the grace of Almighty Allah, I hope that these problems are behind us now. The 3 hospitals that were given to us in 2011, which included the NICH along with the JPMC and the NICVD, the federal government has agreed to give them to us over, despite the Supreme Court judgment that we had, they've agreed to give them to us over a long period, lease them to us so that we maintain, operate them, and spend money on them. The provincial cabinet has already approved that. The Prime Minister has approved it. It has to just got to go to the federal cabinet, and we are hoping that will soon be approved there. And then the tug of war that we've had for the last few years with the federal government would end after that. It's actually ended now, this will happen. I just briefly talk about the contribution of the medical practitioners, especially in the last few years. We had COVID. The medical professionals were our frontline workers, our frontline warriors, and I'm really grateful to them. I pray for all of them who actually are martyrs, who lost their lives in this fight against COVID. And with their help, and purely their help, and I'll tell you what I used to do was when this COVID hit us, because obviously I didn't know anything about it, but I just listened to whatever the doctors told me. And that's what the provincial government of Sindh did, that we just, and all the medical bodies cooperated with us. And they became a spokesperson to convince people to abide by the COVID SOPs that we had prescribed at that time. And with the grace of Almighty Allah, we are one of the least affected countries from COVID, and the world gives an example of how Pakistan countered this COVID crisis that we've had, and with the grace of Almighty Allah, we became successful. Most recently, another catastrophe hit us in the shape of floods, and I'm sure a lot of you must have gone to these places where the flood hit us. In the province of Sindh, we've got 24 districts affected. In the entire country, we've got about 33 million people affected by floods, and 70% of them are in actually more than 70% are in the province of Sindh. We've had more than 800 deaths alone from flood, and after that because of the disease, which in such a situation does spread out. And there again, several hundreds of medical camps that doctors put up. We had doctors not only from the province, from outside the province who came to help us. There were doctors, and just yesterday I had signed certificates for Indonesian doctors who'd come in to help us for this, in this catastrophe, in this time of difficulty. And I do want to I wish to thank all of the doctors who've helped us, who've helped humanity. And that's what you're there for, to help humanity. And inshallah, we will overcome these floods also, the challenges there, but we are working hard on it. We've been able to, not 100%, because again we had polio cases in the north of the country, but in the province of Sindh, it's been more than 2 years since we've had a polio case, and all our polio environmental samples are negative for the last almost 2 years now. So that's a big success. because just a few years ago we were struggling with it. But again, this has only been possible because of our frontline workers, because of our health workers who've gone from house to house. In spite of the dangers, just day before yesterday, we had deaths due to deaths of polio workers. So, it's because of them that we've been able to surmount this problem, and inshallah, we will surmount this issue.
वज़ीर आला सिंध सैयद मुराद अली शाह कराची में तकरीब से खिताब कर रहे थे। बच्चों की बीमारियों के इलाज के हवाले से इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में वो कहते हैं कि